All right, so today we're going to be diving into this YouTube video. It's called 15 Steps to Get Rich Ultimate Guide.
Okay. Oh.
And it's from this channel called Alux.com.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of go through these 15 steps to get rich. And they say it's based on real millionaires and billionaires and how they got to where they are.
Right.
But the video is like 45 minutes long. So we're going to kind of break it down, see what we can use.
Okay.
And some of these tips are pretty surprising, like living like you're poor, even when you're not.
Yeah, that one stood out to me too when I was looking over the material for today.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how does that even work?
Yeah, we'll have to dive into that one for sure.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But first, the video starts out talking about like the importance of starting with a clean slate.
Okay.
So like being debt free and not relying on anybody else financially. So like, do you think that's really necessary to get rich?
I think it's definitely an ideal situation, if you can start with a clean slate, but I don't think it's totally necessary. I mean, a lot of people don't start with a clean slate.
Right.
They might have student loans or credit card debt, or they might be relying on family for support.
Right.
But I think the key takeaway here is that you want to minimize those financial burdens as much as possible. So, pay down your debt as quickly as you can and try to become financially independent as soon as you can so you're not constantly playing catch up.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the video does say it takes time to build wealth.
Mm-hmm.
They estimate like 5 to 7 years for a successful business.
Mm-hmm.
So this is definitely not like a get rich quick scheme.
Right, exactly. And that's an important thing to remember. It's not going to happen overnight. True wealth building is a marathon, not a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
And, anybody who's promising quick riches is probably trying to sell you something, not actually giving you good advice.
Yeah.
So be wary of those get-rich-quick schemes.
Exactly. All right. So let's jump into the first set of steps. They call it hard to want. And it's all about making that initial money.
Okay.
So step 1 is like classic set smart goals.
Mm-hmm.
Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Right.
And they use the example of, making an extra $1,000 a month from like a side hustle or a new project.
Yeah, setting goals is super important for anything you want to achieve.
Right.
But especially when it comes to money, it gives you something to aim for. It helps you track your progress.
Mm-hmm.
But setting a goal isn't enough. You got to actually break it down into smaller, actionable steps so you know what you need to do to get there.
Okay.
And that's where step 2 comes in. They call it break it down and do the math.
Yeah. So for that $1,000 a month example, how would you break that down?
Well, you got to figure out how many clients you need, how much each client needs to pay, and what steps you need to take to get those clients.
Okay.
So it's basically like reverse engineering your goal.
So it's like creating a roadmap.
Exactly. Yeah, it forces you to think realistically about what it actually takes to reach your goal instead of just hoping for the best.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Step 3 is all about education.
Mm-hmm.
So constantly learning and developing skills that you can actually make money from.
Mm-hmm.
So in your opinion, what kind of skills are valuable these days? What should people be learning?
Well, digital skills are in high demand right now.
Okay.
So things like coding, web development, digital marketing, even content creation.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just about technical skills.
Yeah.
Things like communication, problem solving, adaptability, those are valuable in any field.
Yeah.
So, no matter what you're interested in, there's probably a way to monetize it if you have the right skills.
Okay, cool. And step 4 is work every single day.
Yeah.
They really stress discipline and consistent effort here.
Yeah, consistent effort is definitely important, but I think it's also important to find a sustainable rhythm that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
Working every single day without any breaks can lead to burnout, and that can really sabotage your progress. Have you ever experienced that?
Oh, yeah. I think we all have at some point. It's that hustle culture trap.
Exactly. It's not about working yourself to exhaustion. It's about being strategic and working smarter, not harder.
Okay, that makes sense. And finally, step 5 is just get shit done.
Okay.
It's all about taking action, actually making progress towards those smaller goals that we talked about.
Right. It's easy to get stuck in the planning phase.
Yeah.
But at some point, you got to actually roll up your sleeves and start executing. Mm-hmm. So what are some ways that you like to get things done and stay on track? What works for you?
Well, I think it's important to break down.
Okay.
Okay, so we've covered that hard to want phase where you're making that initial money.
Mm-hmm.
But part 2 is all about building wealth.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how to actually hold on to that money and make it work for you.
Yeah.
So what do you think are the biggest mistakes people make when it comes to managing their money?
I think one of the most common mistakes is lifestyle inflation. As people earn more, they tend to spend more.
Right.
Often on things they don't really need, like They upgrade their car, get a bigger house, take more expensive vacations, and suddenly they're living paycheck to paycheck, even though they're making more money than ever before.
Yeah. It's so easy to fall into that trap, like, especially with all the social pressure to keep up with the Joneses and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why this next step is so important. It's step 6, outsource repetitive tasks.
Right.
So it's all about freeing up your time and energy to focus on the things that really matter.
Right.
Like growing your business or investing wisely, you know.
So what are some tasks that you think people could easily outsource these days?
Oh, there's so many things, you know, like scheduling appointments, managing social media, bookkeeping, even basic customer service. There are tons of tools and platforms out there that can automate these tasks or connect you with skilled freelancers.
Yeah. Have you used any of those services yourself?
I've definitely experimented with different automation tools for my business, you know, and it's been a game changer in terms of productivity.
Right.
It lets me focus on like the strategic aspects of my work, you know, instead of getting bogged down in the day-to-day minutia.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're not just like spending all your time on like busy work.
Exactly.
Okay, and then step 7 is analyze and improve.
Right.
So it's not just about like outsourcing blindly. You got to actually understand like your business data, figure out what's working, and constantly be adapting.
Data is gold, especially in today's digital landscape.
Right.
You know, by tracking key metrics, you can identify patterns, spot trends, and make informed decisions about your business.
So what kind of data do you think is like the most valuable for entrepreneurs to track?
Well, it depends on the business, of course.
Okay.
But I think things like customer acquisition costs, website traffic conversion rates, customer lifetime value, those are all crucial.
Right.
You know, it's about understanding where your money is coming from, how much it costs to get new customers, and how much value you're getting from each customer over time.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're not just looking at like vanity metrics, like how many followers you have.
Right, exactly. It's about focusing on the numbers that really drive business growth.
Okay, now this is where it gets interesting. Step 8 is live my voice. You're poor?
Yeah, this one's definitely controversial.
Yeah, the video argues that the longer you resist lifestyle inflation and save your money, the richer you'll become. But is it really realistic to expect people to like live in perpetual deprivation?
I think the key here is finding a balance. You know, it's not about denying yourself every pleasure in life,
Right.
but it's about being mindful of your spending and prioritizing investments over fleeting material possessions.
So like instead of buying that new car,
Yeah.
you invest that money in something that will grow over time.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's not really about living like you're poor. It's more about living below your means,
Right.
even as your income grows.
Exactly.
Okay, so once you've saved some money, step 9 is save to invest.
Okay.
It's about shifting your mindset from spending on things that lose value to putting your money into assets that generate income or appreciate over time.
Right.
So what are some examples of assets that you think are good investments right now?
Well, real estate is a classic asset class that has historically performed well, but it's also a long-term investment that requires significant capital and ongoing management.
Okay.
Stocks are another option, but they can be volatile and require a certain level of risk tolerance.
Right. What are some of your favorite investment strategies?
Well, I'm a big believer in diversification.
Okay.
You know, I like to spread my investments across different asset classes, including stocks, bonds, real estate, and even alternative investments like precious metals or cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, diversification